Hi, Beetle Eddie here. I was thinking about this for a while. There are many albums that I love to play, and I have been playing for the last 45 years, for 50 years even. Um, I must have played 1,000 albums, maybe more, throughout my life. But I was thinking to myself, what would be my 10 best albums of listening of all time? And then I said to myself, you know what? 10 albums is not enough to do a video on, because I played and listened to 1,000 albums. So I cut it and made it. I mean, I didn't cut it. I increased it and made it a little bit more. I limited it to my 20 top studio albums of all time. Studio, not live, not not bootleg. Had a couple of bootlegs, but not too many. Mostly Beatles. But these are all studio albums, not live at all. Um, so this is the top 20 studio albums of all time. And there's no particular order to this. Just things I thought of on the top of my head. So I'm just going to go through the list. Um, One of my favorite albums of all time is an album by Cream. Cream only had maybe 3, 4 albums. They were only around for like 3 or 4 years. So so this is one of my favorite Cream albums. It's a double album made in 1968 called Wheels of Fire. Love this album. This is the album that has on it White Room. It also has Crossroads, that's sung by Clapton. Cream had a lead singer, Jack Bruce. Clapton also did singing. He did background singing. But Jack Bruce was the lead singer. He was also the, um, the bassist. Clapton was the guitarist. Jack Bruce was the bassist. And Ginger Baker was the drummer. That was Cream. Great group in the 60s. But they didn't last too long. They only had 3 or 4 albums. But great albums. So that's one of my favorite albums, The Wheels of Fire. Beside White Room, it has Politician, and has, I told you, Crossroads, Spoonful, Toad, um, um, great album. Just a fantastic album. And the next album, it would be, and like I told you, it's no order, just things I thought of on the top of my head. The Rolling Stones, which I consider this to be their best album. Sticky Fingers. This is the album that has Brown Sugar, Wild Horses, Can't You Hear Me Knocking? Just a great album. I feel it's the best album they ever made. Next album, a little group called Led Zeppelin, and it's one of my favorite albums. Probably what a lot of people would say is their best album. Led Zeppelin 4. It has on it Stairway to Heaven. It has Black Dog. It has Rock and Roll. It has Misty Mountain Hop. It has Four Sticks. It has When the Window Breaks. It's just a great album. Going to California, I think it's their best. Okay, next album. Let's think about the Beatles a little bit. This is my favorite Beatle album. The White Album, the double White Album. Of course, we all know that one, 1968, came a day before my birthday. And I went to the record store, my local record store near me, and I picked it up on the day of which it was released. This is my third. I don't want to tell you my age. If I told you my age, you know it's 1960, 68. You know my age. Okay, I'll tell you. It was my 13th birthday. So now you know how old I am, but I don't care. Okay, love that album. Back to the USSR, Dear Prudence. Everybody's got something to hide except for me and my monkey. While my guitar gently weeps. Rocky Raccoon. Why don't we do it on the road? I will. What can I say? Great songs. Some people say it would have been a better single album. I don't agree. Like Paul McCartney said, it's a bloody white album. The bloody Beatles white album. Shut up. You know? That's what he says. Okay. Next album. Like I said, there's no order to this. Just what I was thinking of at the time. One of my favorite groups, Rush. Moving Pictures. Moving Pictures has Tom Sawyer. It has Limelight. Great album. I saw Rush when they did the tour for this. What was it, 1982 or something like that? So I kind of saw Rush in their prime. It's probably considered their best album. And I saw them at tour when they did basically the best album at Madison Square Garden. Had good seats. Okay, next. That's Rush album. Next, going back to the Beatles. 1965, Rubber Soul, one of my favorites. English, US release is better to me than the UK. I don't like them starting off with Drive My Car. The US starts off with I Just Seen a Face. And then the flip side has It's Only Love. It makes a much better album. I'm telling you, you ought to listen. Give a listen to the UK of Rubber Soul, and then play the US Rubber Soul. And the US Rubber Soul has about 3 songs less than the UK, but it's still, for some reason, a better album to me. Unlike Revolver, what I would say is the UK is a better album. Because when they took out, first of all, when they took out 3 songs, they took out 3 Lennon songs. Because US had only put 11 songs on their albums instead of 14. And then they made up by making a whole new album for it. For the songs I think they sold more that way. But they did that. Okay, so Rubber Soul, that was my next. Michelle, that's also a great song. You Won't See Me. I'm Looking Through You. Norwegian Wood. Rubber Soul, great album. And the album that kind of changed their music. First turn of the change. Next album, from a little group called The Who. And my favorite Who album. Who's Next? Now, in this album, you have songs like Barbara O'Reilly, We Won't Be Fooled Again, Bargain, Behind Blue Eyes. Great album. Great album. Okay, next album. Like I said, there's no order to this. And I'm just going to read off my 20 top albums of all times. From a group called Pink Floyd. one of their best albums recorded in Abbey Road, Dark Side of the Moon. Just to show you I have, because I never opened this. Here's Dark Side of the Moon. 50th anniversary. It's a double album. Okay? It's double. Not opened. And I don't think I'll ever open it. Tell you why. I have Spotify. Now a lot of people that listen to records and CDs, they don't have Spotify. They have the actual CDs. I don't have so many CDs anymore. And my albums kind of they're old, mostly old, and so I was not into collecting too much. So I got Spotify. Now Spotify practically gives you everything you want, and I can hear this whole thing on Spotify. This whole one with the 50th anniversary. It's called the Experience Edition. Disc 1 is 2 discs. Disc 1 has the original album, mastered, remastered. And then disc 2 has previously unreleased live at the Empire Pool Theatre in London, which they did in 1974. So that's kind of live. I thought it wasn't doing live album, but it's not a live album. This is Dark Side of the Moon, with the first album being the regular Dark Side of the Moon. Original UK release date was March 1973. Guess what album came out in 1973 from Abbey Road Studios also? Red Rose Speedway, Paul McCartney. So anyway, now Paul McCartney was being interviewed during Paul and Linda was being interviewed during the Dark Side of the Moon. They wanted like some talking to put it on the album, but McCartney, Paul, was being kind of funny, and so Pink Floyd was looking for more kind of a serious thing, so they didn't use it. They recorded what we said, but they never recorded. They never released it on the album. Okay, so that was that. So I want to tell you about not opening albums. A friend of mine, since I was a teenager, when the White Album the White Album once came out on white vinyl, and my friend bought it at CM Goody, which doesn't exist anymore. There was a store that sold records called Sam Goody. So he bought the vinyl, white vinyl, the White Album. I told him, don't open it. Now I looked up what the value of the White Album unopened would be right today. On eBay, they were selling it for $25,000. I called my friend and I said, you still have that White Album? It's worth $25,000. He almost died. He said, I don't have it anymore. My his ex-wife, destroyed his albums. That's probably why he's his ex-wife. But anyway, so he doesn't have it anymore. But if he had it, he'd be $25,000 richer. So I'm not opening this. I'm not going to open this. When I'm 100 years old, maybe I'll see how much it's worth. Or give it to my kids. Okay. Let's see, where am I? Next album. One of the best albums ever made. Love this album. Fleetwood Mac, Rumors. Every song of this album is great. Dreams. What can I say? Every single song. The Chain. I don't remember all the songs already. I haven't heard it in so long. Don't Stop Believing. No, that's not on there. Don't Stop. Don't Stop Believing is Journeys. Don't Stop. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic album. Okay, now, next album. Foreigner. It's an album by Foreigner. It's one of my best. The original Foreigner. Not like they have today. I'll tell you about that. The original Foreigner. With Lou Gramm. Lou Gramm, the singer. Foreigner 4. Great album. Jukebox Hero. Urgent. Dirty White Boy. No, that's not that. Excuse me. I don't want to say something wrong. Dirty White Boy is from Foreigner 3. But it has Foreigner 4 has Jukebox Hero. It has Urgent. It's two of my favorite songs, to name a few. It's a great album. Foreigner had Lou Gramm as the lead singer, Mick Jones. Lou Gramm and Mick Jones had an argument, and Lou Gramm is not with the Foreigner anymore. Lou Gramm got sick. He had a brain tumor, he had surgery, and then he had complications after the surgery. But he's okay now. He's still singing. He still does concerts and all. And he's great. But now, there's not one original member of Foreigner in that group. And they're doing a farewell concert now. Not one original member. Including the lead singer, Kelly. I even forgot his name. Kelly something. And Mick Jones is not even there anymore. It used to be Mick Jones showed up once in a while. But he's not there anymore. He's not even coming on the stage. He's sick. So, he's sickly. Sometimes he doesn't feel well. So he doesn't show up anymore. So, 6 guys in that band. Not one is original. Cover band. It's basically a cover band. They do a good job. But they're not the original. They're not Lou Gramm. They're not Foreigner. They shouldn't call themselves Foreigner. Maybe they should call themselves the real Foreigner because they're foreign. They're foreign to Foreigner. Okay. Next album. Remember, these are my favorite albums of all times, ones I play over and over again. I got a lot of albums I never even want to play them. I don't look at them. I don't, they're just collecting dust. Like I said, a lot of them aren't in such great shape. I have Spotify. I won't hear anything. But this album, Led Zeppelin, again. I told you Led Zeppelin 4 was my favorite album, but here's my second favorite album. Physical Graffiti. Custard Pie, In My Time of Dying, 10 Years Gone, Kashmir. Great album. Great album. Next album. Styx. I don't have many Styx albums, but I like this one. Styx, The Grand Illusion, has the song The Grand Illusion, has the song Fooling Yourself, and Come Sail Away. Probably their greatest album, The Grand Illusion. Next album, Van Halen. Van Halen has lots of albums, and I'm going to pick this one. Van Halen, number 1. Running with the Devil. Van Halen. The album that started it all. The album that started Eddie Van Halen and David Lee Roth. Their debut album. Great album. Okay. Next album. A lot of variety here I have. Simon and Garfunkel. Bridge Over Troubled Water. Great album. Basically, I think this is their last album they made together as a group. There's one more song I think they made on Paul Simon album called Our Little Town. But as an album, I think this was the last album. Bridge Over Troubled Water. Of course, it has the song Bridge Over Troubled Water. Cecilia, Mrs. Robinson, I believe, is on it. I think. The Boxer, also a great song. There's another song, I forgot what it's called, but I'd rather be a hammer than a nail. Yes, I would. If I could, I surely would. That's a great song. Simon and Garfunkel did great harmony. They were great in harmony. Okay. Next album. They couldn't be my favorite 20 albums without mentioning this group. The Doors. And what album? I could have picked the debut album. It's great. Or Morrison Hotel. Or L.A. Woman. But I didn't pick them. I picked the second album, Strange Days. Why I like this album? I think this is the first Doors album I ever had. I love this album. People Are Strange, Strange Days, People Are Strange, Love Me Two Time. And the 11-minute, When the Music's Over. That's a great song. When the music's over, turn out the light, cancel my... When the music's over, turn out the light, turn out the light, turn out the light. Okay. Next. I didn't mention Money Beatles. A Beatle Eddie. I better have some Beatle albums on my 20 best albums of all time. So let me mention some more Beatles. I think I mentioned 2 Beatle albums so far. I mentioned the White Album and Rubber Soul. Let me mention a couple more, and maybe even some solo Beatles. Okay. Next album. Sgt. Pepper. Fantastic, great album. Paul McCartney's idea. Don't even call yourselves the Beatles. You're a new band. And the band is Sgt. Pepper. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It's not a real band. Starts with Sgt. Pepper's song, then Ringo singing With a Little Help from My Friends, Getting Better, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, A Day in Her Life, Lovely Rita, Good Morning, Good Morning, The Benefit of Mr. Kite. Also my favorite song, We Were Talking About the Space Within You, Without You, Russ Harrison. I don't know why he wrote that song. It's not my favorite song. You know, George had like 2 songs or even 3 songs. In Revolver, I think he had 3 songs. He only had 1 song in Rubber Soul. In and Sergeant Pepper. Within You, Without You. I don't think George liked Sergeant Pepper too much. Paul said he was not even there at the recording studio that much. Maybe he was there for his song. He wasn't there so much. He didn't like it so much. And why did he only have one song? I don't know. Okay. Next album, another Beatle album. I gotta have some Beatle albums. I'm Beatle Eddie. Abbey Road. Great album. George Harrison has some great songs on this album. Little comeback. Sergeant Pepper. Here Comes the Sun. And Something. John and Paul said that Something's the best song on the album. And John had Come Together. The singer was Come Together in Something. And it was a double A song. Having Something being the better song. George Harrison having a lead song in an album. Not bad. Usually it was Paul. But it's a great album. You had the melody in the second side, and John had a little melody. I mean, must have Sun King melody, but Paul had the main melody with the Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight at the end. With Ringo's drum solo. Very small drum solo, not too bad, but perfect. Perfect in its way. Great album. That's Rubber Soul. Okay. Next album. One of my favorite Paul McCartney albums. My favorite Paul McCartney album. Solo album. Ram. Great album. I could listen to that every single day. I don't, but I could. Too many people. Three legs. Ram On. Dear Boy. Smile Away. Mark Berry, Moon Delight. Oh, great song. I love Mark Berry, Moon Delight. The way he belts that out. Mark Berry, Moon Delight. I would love to see Paul McCartney do that live. I don't think I ever will, because I don't think he can belt it out like that. I think those days are over. But I don't think he ever did that live. Mark Berry, Moon Delight. And of course, backseat of my car, eat at home. Next album, John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band. I think that this is John Lennon's best album as a solo singer, performer. Great album. Mother, Hold On John, I Found Out, Working Class Hero. Remember, Isolation, God, Song God, Eat at Home. Not Eat at Home. That's Paul. Well. Great album. Love. Love is real. Real is love. Great love song. Love is asking to be loved. Love is wanting to be loved. Love is you and me. Love is knowing we can be. Love is touch. Touch is love. Love is reaching love. Love is wanting to be loved. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. Guess what? This is my 20th album coming up. Not the Beatles. And not the solo Beatles. I could have put in All Things Must Pass, 2 record sets, 3 record set of George. I could have put in the album Ringo. But I feel I have a sufficient amount of Beatles and solo Beatles in it already. One of my favorite groups, and this is my favorite album from them, Very Prague. The group is Yes, and the album, my favorite Yes album, is Close to the Edge. Now this album, the green cover, Close to the Edge, this album has only 3 songs. They're like 18-minute songs, 20-minute songs each. 3 songs in the whole album. Close to the Edge, and You and I, and then the 3rd song, I forget what it's called, but it's a great song. It's a great album. I recently saw Yes in concert at a very nice venue. Had a very good seat. Stage rotated, turn around and around. It really didn't matter where you sat, because everywhere you sat, you'd be able to see them. Because the stage turned slowly. It wasn't like a roller coaster. It was turning slowly, you know. So, yeah, so I saw them recently at the Westbury Theater. Very nice venue. I wish all the concerts that I go to would be there. And, you know, I wish Paul McCartney would do a concert there. That would be very, very a very nice place. It's very small. It's a very small venue and intimate. And wherever you are, you have a good seat. Of course, you know, he wouldn't be getting the stadium people, you know, like 60,000. He'd be getting 2,500. But I wish he would do that. That would be nice. Maybe he will. Okay. All right, so that's it. And I'm going to just recap my top 20 studio albums of all time in no particular order. Wheels of Fire, Cream. Sticky Fingers, The Rolling Stones. Led Zeppelin 4, my favorite Led Zeppelin album. My favorite Beatle album, the White Album. Rush, Moving Pictures, my favorite Rush album. Rubber Soul, The Beatles. My favorite Who album, Who's Next. Dark Side of the Moon. Rumors. Fleetwood Mac. Foreigner 4. Physical Graffiti, Led Zeppelin. Styx, Grand Illusion. Van Halen, the debut album. Bridge Over Troubled Water, Simon and Garfunkel. The Doors, Strange Days, their 2nd album. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, The Beatles. Abbey Road, The Beatles. Ram, Paul McCartney. Plastic Ono Band, John Lennon. And the last, number 20, Yes, Close to the Edge. These albums, I take to a desert island, play them for the rest of my life. Okay. So it's been a pleasure, boys and girls, men and ladies and gentlemen. If you like this this album, this video, give me a thumbs up. I'd like to hear your comments. What's your favorite albums of all time? Let me hear. I'd like to know. And if you like my channel, subscribe. Take care. Have a great day.